Testing for the knee joint or the tibiofemoral joint, we're looking at 4 total movements, 2 planes of motion. The first is the larger movements of knee flexion and knee extension. The second 2 would be transverse motion of medial and lateral rotation of the knee. We'll start with testing for the flexion and extension. They're the largest, most powerful motions of the knee. We'll start at 90 degrees. This gives us good leverage for the test. We'll begin by testing the client's knee flexors. To do that, we are going to push into knee extension and give them the opportunity to resist into knee flexion. All right, so I'm going to instruct my client, Victoria. I'm going to place my hand on the back of your heel. I'm going to push the leg towards the table, and I want you to fire your heel back towards the body for me, okay, and resist that motion. So take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and resist. Push and relax. Good. So there's the test for the knee flexors. For the knee extensors, we're going to reverse the direction. We're going to place our hand on the front of the ankle. We're going to push into knee flexion and allow them to resist into knee extension. So I'm going to instruct my client, Victoria, I've got my hand on the front of your ankle here. I'm going to push your heel towards your body, and I would like for you to kick back into the table for me, okay? So take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and resist. Perfect. So we feel a little bit of compensation in the hip, wanting to lift off the table. So when you feel those things, just be aware of them, take note, maybe re-instruct without those compensations. The second part is with rotation. So just be really mindful about how this rotation works. Kind of run through it first and give yourself a little dry run to see, make sure, okay, now I'm turning this way. I've got it in medial rotation. That's where I'm going to test for medial rotators. I'm moving into lateral rotation. Just kind of run it through your head, feel the movement, and then move into the instruction for the test. So the first test is going to go for medial rotation of the knee. We're going to put the knee in medial rotation, have our client hold it there, and then we're going to instruct them to resist that motion lateral, okay? So I'm going to instruct my client now. So Victoria, I'm going to place your leg rotated towards your midline here, okay? I'm going to have you hold that for me, and then I'm going to try to turn your leg out, and you're going to resist that for me, okay? So we're going to hold here, okay? So keep the leg there, take a deep breath in, and meet my pressure right here. And relax. Good. So make sure when you do that, you have one hand on the forefoot and one hand on the hind foot. So you're getting good rotational leverage. Okay. So second test, we're going to move into lateral rotation. So I'm going to instruct my client. So Victoria, I'm going to put your leg into this rotation here. I want you to hold that for me. And I'm going to bring it back towards the middle, and I want you to resist that for me. Okay. So hold the foot here. Okay. Take a deep breath in and resist that motion for me. Perfect. So she did really great with that. So 4 total movements: flexion, extension, medial rotation, lateral rotation of the knee. So based on our previous test for knee flexion and knee extension on the table, a second variation is to have your client seated. There are a number of advantages to this. First, philosophically, we believe that muscle testing should always be done in a variety of positions. Creativity is really the key to unlock or get a vision into what people's patterns truly are. People don't typically lay on tables in life, so having people lay on a table during testing can definitely limit our availability to see those neurological patterns. Sitting is something people do quite often, so even though they're the same test, we often get much different results. So we're going to do these same tests, not so much for the rotation, but definitely for the sagittal motion of flexion and extension from a seated position. So we have our client seated on the side of the table. We're going to start by testing knee extension first, and we're going to do that by putting the client into knee extension here. We don't want the knee completely locked out. We want a little bit of bend to that, a little bit of softness, so we can instruct them to keep the leg straight but not locked. So I'm going to have you bring the leg out straight. Don't lock the knee for me. So she's got that. That's great. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push your leg down towards the table, and you're going to keep it in this position for me, okay? So take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and push. And relax. Good. So we're going to get a little bit of lift off the table, just simply from the leverage of the push, but that was just the natural physics of it. There were no compensations there. She did really well with that test. The second option we have is from the same position, but a little bit lower. We don't want to come all the way up because we have no room to test here. We don't want to go into the hip. Keep it about 45 degrees. What I want to do is bring my hand to the top of the thigh, and this gives me a chance to test specifically knee flexors. We're going to say for the joint, we're testing knee flexors. So I've got her at 45 degrees. I'm going to pull into knee extension and have her push back, or in her case, pull back into knee flexion. So I'm going to take your foot here. I'm going to pull the leg up towards the ceiling, and I'm going to have you pull back down towards the table, okay? So take a deep breath in, take a breath out, and meet my pressure. and relax. So a much more difficult test for her. A lot of compensation through the hips. She wanted to recruit this other leg. She went into internal rotation. So that tells us a lot about her strength, her preference in movement from a seated position. So we got much different results in that plane seated than we did lying down.